The day he stopped existing. He was sitting on the edge of his bed when the thought hit him for the first time in years. The room was quiet except for the soft glow of his phone lighting up his face. Endless images slid past his thumb. Other people's lives, other people's wins, other people's smiles. Cars, vacations, achievements, perfect moments frozen in frames. His own room felt smaller with every swipe. He stopped. For no clear reason, he put the phone down and stared at the wall. A strange question rose inside him, quiet but heavy. Am I living, or am I just existing? The question stayed. He thought of all the things he wanted. Freedom, money, confidence, a life that felt real. He had imagined himself traveling, building something of his own, becoming someone people respected. In his mind, he had lived 1,000 powerful lives. In reality, his days looked the same. Wake up late. Scroll. Watch. Delay. Promise himself tomorrow would be different. Tomorrow never came. Outside, the city moved. Buses groaned. People hurried. Somewhere, someone was building a dream. Somewhere, someone was failing forward. Somewhere, someone was becoming. And he was still. He remembered how often he said, "I'll start later. Later, when I'm ready. Later, when I have time. Later, when I'm confident. Later, when it feels right." Those words had become a soft prison. Comfortable. Quiet. Deadly. Time didn't feel dangerous. It felt endless. But deep inside, he knew it wasn't. His father's hair had turned gray without asking permission. His mother moved slower than she used to. Years had slipped by while he waited for motivation to fall from the sky. His dreams were still there, but they felt tired, like children waiting at a door that never opened. He stood up. The mirror across the room reflected a man who looked awake but lived asleep. Not broken, not weak, just unused. Like a machine built for greatness that had never been turned on. "You don't get another life," he whispered. The words felt real in a way they never had before. This wasn't a rehearsal. There was no second round. No reset button. No future version of him coming back to fix everything. This was it. He imagined himself 10 years older, standing in this same room, still scrolling, still waiting, still explaining why he hadn't started. The image made his chest tighten. Regret was suddenly visible. It had a shape. It had a future. He grabbed a notebook from his drawer and opened a blank page. What am I doing today to become the man I dream of? The pen hovered. His mind searched for excuses. You're tired. You're not ready. You'll fail. He wrote anyway. One small action. Just one. Not a perfect plan. Not a 5-year vision. One step that moved him forward instead of keeping him still. He wrote, "Speak today, even if I sound stupid." The fear came instantly. People will laugh. You'll make mistakes. He smiled, weak but honest. So what? A seed doesn't become a tree by staying safe under the soil. It breaks. It pushes. It risks the sun and the storm. Only then does it grow. He realized something simple and terrifying. Comfort had been slowly killing him. Every easy day, every delayed dream, every night spent escaping instead of building. It wasn't dramatic. It was silent, but it was deadly. He closed the notebook and stood straighter. Somewhere inside him lived 2 versions of himself. One wanted to sleep, scroll, hide. The other wanted to build, speak, risk, become. Every day, one of them won. Today, he decided, the hungry one would eat. That morning, he didn't reach for his phone. It lay on the table, silent, tempting, familiar. His hand moved toward it out of habit, then stopped midair. For the first time, he noticed how automatic his life had become. Every movement, every hour, every escape was a routine he never chose. He pushed the phone away. The room felt strange without noise. No videos. No voices. Just him and his thoughts. They were louder than any screen. He remembered all the reasons he believed he couldn't change. No money. No support. No special talent. No perfect background. He had worn those reasons like armor. They protected him from risk. They also protected him from growth. Somewhere in the world, a boy with less than him was waking up early. Somewhere, a girl with no support was teaching herself. Somewhere, someone who had every reason to quit was choosing not to. He understood then that his problem was not lack. It was comfort. Comfort had whispered to him, "Relax. You have time." Fear had added, "Don't try. You might fail." Together, they had built a cage that felt like a home. He opened the door and stepped outside. The street was alive. A man was opening his shop. A student hurried with a backpack slung over one shoulder. A woman argued with a bus driver. Everyone was moving somewhere. Everyone had a direction, even if it was small. He felt behind, but for the first time, that feeling didn't crush him. It pushed him. He walked, not knowing exactly where he was going, only that he refused to return to the old rhythm. Each step felt like a declaration. I am not waiting anymore. His mind tried to pull him back. You should plan more. You should learn more first. You might look foolish. He remembered something simple. Thinking had never saved him. Thinking had kept him frozen. So he acted. He entered a small cafe, heart racing, and ordered in the language he had always been afraid to speak. His voice shook. His words stumbled. The cashier raised an eyebrow. But the world didn't end. He walked out with a cup in his hand and fire in his chest. It was a tiny moment, invisible to everyone else. But inside him, something ancient woke up. The part of him that had been waiting for proof that he could move. Failure had always lived in his imagination. Now courage lived in his body. He realized that most people didn't lose because they were weak. They lost because they never entered the game. They watched. They planned. They waited. And life passed them by like a train they were too scared to board. He thought of the men he admired. The ones who built something from nothing. The ones who stood alone before anyone believed in them. They weren't special at the start. They were just willing to be uncomfortable longer than others. He saw his life clearly for the first time. Every day was a vote. A vote for the man who scrolls. Or a vote for the man who builds. A vote for later. Or a vote for now. A vote for safety. Or a vote for a story worth telling. He went home and wrote again. Wake up earlier. Speak daily. Read instead of scroll. Move when fear appears. Not heroic promises. Just rules. He didn't feel motivated. He felt responsible. That night, as he lay in bed, the urge to escape returned. The screen called him. The old version of himself whispered, "You can start tomorrow." He answered quietly, "No, I start now." And for the first time in years, he fell asleep, not as a man waiting for life, but as a man walking toward it. Days passed, and something inside him began to shift. Not loudly, not dramatically. Change did not arrive like thunder. It came like a muscle growing under skin, quiet, sore, real. He woke earlier now, not because he felt like it, but because he decided to. Every morning was a small battle. His eyes burned. His body begged. The old voice returned, soft and sweet. Just 5 more minutes. He learned that this was the real enemy. Not the world. Not his past. Not his lack. It was this voice that wanted him comfortable and small. Some mornings, he lost. He hit snooze. He stayed in bed. But something new happened. He noticed. Before, failure felt normal. Now it felt wrong. He stopped calling it weakness and started calling it a challenge. Every time he stood up when he didn't feel like it, something inside him grew stronger. He realized willpower wasn't magic. It was repetition. It was choosing the harder path when no one was watching. He began speaking every day. In front of mirrors. In empty rooms. To strangers who didn't care. His accent betrayed him. His sentences broke. His face burned. And yet, each time he spoke, fear lost a little ground. He discovered a truth no one had taught him. Confidence does not come before action. It comes after. He stopped waiting to feel ready. Readiness, he learned, was a lie the mind told to avoid risk. He acted while unprepared. He moved while uncertain. He spoke while shaking. The world didn't collapse. People did not laugh him into dust. Some ignored him. Some helped. Some smiled. Most didn't care. And that was freedom. Nobody cared. At first, this hurt. He had spent years believing eyes were always on him, waiting to judge. But people were too busy with their own fears. Too busy fighting their own invisible wars. He realized he had been hiding for an audience that wasn't there. Comparison had been poisoning him. Every scroll had told him he was behind. Every image had whispered that others were better, faster, more gifted. Now he understood the trick. He had been comparing his entire life to other people's highlights. He stopped looking sideways. He began measuring himself only against yesterday. Did I move today? Did I choose growth? Did I act despite fear? If the answer was yes, it was a victory. Small, private, powerful. He unfollowed voices that made him feel small. He replaced them with silence, books, effort. The noise faded. His direction sharpened. Some nights, doubt still visited him. Who do you think you are? You'll never be like them. You'll fail. He answered differently now. Maybe, but I will not disappear. He began to understand that a story worth telling required risk. Safe lives were quiet, clean, forgotten. Every man he admired carried scars. Every legend had stood at the edge of fear and jumped. He took his first real risk. Not big in the world's eyes. Big in his. He shared his voice. His hands trembled as he pressed publish. His heart pounded like he had committed a crime. The screen reflected his own face back at him, exposed and imperfect. The old voice screamed, "Delete it. It's not good enough. You'll regret this." He didn't. He closed his eyes and let the moment pass. Nothing happened. The world did not end. The sky did not fall. A few people watched. A few moved on. One stranger left a simple message. Keep going. He stared at those two words longer than he had stared at any praise in his life. Keep going. That night, he understood what power felt like. Not fame. Not money. Not applause. Power was knowing he was no longer running from himself. Power was choosing the man he wanted to become, even when no one was clapping. He stood before the mirror again. The reflection had not changed much. Same face. Same room. Same world. But the eyes were different. They no longer asked, "What if I fail?" They asked, "What if I don't try?" And that question was far more dangerous. Time began to feel different. Days no longer melted into each other like wasted pages. Each morning carried weight. Each night asked for honesty. He started measuring his life not by comfort, but by effort. Some days were heavy. There were mornings when his body felt like stone, when his mind screamed for escape, when the old habits rose like ghosts. The phone still tempted him. The bed still pulled him back. The world still offered easy paths. He learned that discipline was not a feeling. It was a decision made again and again. On the days he won, he felt quiet pride. On the days he lost, he refused to lie to himself. He wrote it down. I chose comfort today. I fed the weaker version of me. And then he tried again. He stopped blaming. No more stories about bad luck. No more excuses about the past. No more waiting for support that might never come. He accepted a brutal truth. No one was coming to save him. And in that truth, he found freedom. His life was no longer a complaint. It was a project. Every problem became a question. Every weakness became a task. Every fear became a door. He trained his willpower the way others train muscles. When he didn't feel like studying, he studied. When he didn't feel like speaking, he spoke. When he wanted to quit, he stayed. He noticed something powerful. His feelings no longer controlled him. They still came. Laziness still whispered. Fear still visited. Doubt still knocked. But they were no longer in charge. He was. He learned to speak to himself like a leader. Stand up. Do it anyway. We don't break promises to ourselves. Each time he obeyed that voice, his identity shifted. He was no longer the man who tried. He was becoming the man who did. Others began to notice. Not with applause. With confusion. You've changed, someone said. He smiled. That was the point. He stopped explaining himself. He stopped begging for understanding. He stopped waiting to be picked. He picked himself. Every day, he no longer asked if he was good enough. He acted as if he was responsible. He understood that greatness was not loud. It was built in silence, in rooms where no one watched, in mornings no one celebrated, in struggles no one clapped for. He saw two futures clearly now. In one, he stayed safe, comfortable, invisible. Years passed. Dreams faded. Regret became a permanent weight in his chest. In the other, he risked, failed, grew, stumbled, rose, built something real, became someone he could respect. Both futures were possible. Only one required courage. The clock on the wall ticked. It did not care about his fear. It did not wait for readiness. It did not slow for doubt. Time was moving. And for the first time in his life, he was moving with it. Not perfect, not fearless, but awake. He was no longer existing. He was living.